This is Troy, a Sherlock Holmes mystery guy. I donned this hat, which I hate, only because it's appropriate for this game. It's a literary puzzle game. Sherlock Holmes. You can definitely play it solo, and you can definitely play it as a group. This is actually like sort of an expansion of the game. This is Jack the Ripper and West End Adventures. And there are several different sort of additions to the main game. The main game is called Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and there are other additions that add more cases for you to solve. The nice thing about the additions are they're all standalone. You don't need the main game to play them. You can buy any one of them, and you have everything that you need right in the box. I call it a literary adventure or literary mystery game, and why, or literary puzzle game. And let's see the contents of the box because this is exciting. So what comes in the box is the London Directory, exhaustive alphabetical listing of all the various people who live in London and little numerical indicators of where they live.
Oh my
in
God,
London, of their address. Now, why would you need a London Directory, you ask? Ask that.
Why would you need a London Directory, Eric?
I'm glad you asked, Tig, because of course you have the map of London.
Look at that. That's actually pretty cool.
So on this map of London, as you can see, scores and scores of little numbers inside circles, and they correspond to the many people in the London Directory. Ha ha! Ha 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 ha!
Clever.
And of course, London itself is also littered with important locations. And let me don my smart man.
Oh boy,
Spectacles.
About to get clever in here.
So you can see there's St. George Hospital, Buckingham Palace, the Russian Embassy, the Royal Mews. And then on the other side of the map is where Sherlock and Watson and so on live and do their work.
Oh, that's cool. So there's a map on both sides.
Then there is the rule book. You can see it is very thin. Very, very thin. There's not much to the rule book.
Yeah, it's much thinner than I thought. I thought it was going to be some sort of, a little bit of craziness.
Then there are a series of newspapers. We have the police news, we have the Times of London. Most of these are Times of London. We have the Star, and you can see it is full of just little news stories. There's a murder of an industrial during a worker protest. William Tobin assassinated. The Hour of the Wolves. Attacked by a bear. Marital brutality.
So I suppose you must have to go through those every once in a while looking for information.
Potentially. And then the whole rest of the box is it's these. And each one of these is a case. Each one of these is an individual case for you to solve. In this particular set, the first 4 cases are all linked together. It is a 4-chapter walk through the actual Jack the Ripper murders. The rest of them are all standalone cases that you can play in any order that you like, and the game works thusly. You have an opening which you read aloud or you read to yourself that basically just sets up the premise and the situation. So and so comes into your office, and here's what he talks about, and here's the information that that he gives you. Here's the case. That's it. You read like those first couple pages, and now you have the information to start.
So you read that. I don't mean to interrupt you, Sherlock.
Go for it, my dear Carson.
So you read that first part, and then you're basically on your own, and you just have to look through newspapers and the map and things like that, just like kind of digging for information.
By George, I think he's got it.
That's kind of cool, though. So they kind of leave you on your own. They don't really pull you by a leash so much.
That's exactly how it works. Once you get that initial information and you try and glean whatever info you can from that sort of that opening, then you can decide. You can say, oh well, here's some people that were mentioned, so let's find out where they live in the directory and let's see who we can go talk to. And you decide maybe you might want to decide who you're going to go talk to next, or maybe you're going to look at the newspaper from that day or any days prior, because sometimes there might be things in prior newspapers. Maybe you might want to look through the newspaper first to see if there's anything in the newspaper that rings a bell. Or in some instances, you might say, oh, this person mentioned candles or something like that. Let's see if there's a candle maker in London and go talk to the candle maker. Basically, and then the rest of the case book is almost sort of choose your own adventure-ish, where you decide who you're going to go see. You check in the directory and let's say, oh, we're going to go see Joe the candle maker, and he lives at 71N. You open up the book, you find the entry for 71N, and you read what's there.
Okay.
And that's you talking to Joe the candle maker, and Joe the candle maker says ABC, and hopefully you get some clues. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, and you just go from there trying to solve the
Oh,
mystery.
so he could possibly, sometimes he might lead you to another person to talk to or another place, but or sometimes it's a dead end and you got to go somewhere else.
That's right. Sometimes you get info, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the info that you do get is difficult to glean. In some cases, you really have to be thinking them out, because they might say things like, oh, well, I was at such and such a place, and then I went to, this other place about an hour later. But sometimes you need to pay attention to very minor details like that. Like they might mention the weather, and you might want to look back through newspapers to see what the weather actually was that day. There is no definitive end. You decide when you've done enough investigation, because your goal is to do better than Sherlock. And the fewer people that you talk to, the better. Or when you decide, oh, our case, we've done everything we can. You go to the back of the book, and upside down there are these series of questions. Questions get asked aloud, and you attempt to answer the question. So you write down your answers, and then in the envelope, I won't open it in case it gets shown on camera. In the envelope,
You don't want to ruin it for you.
you read the answers, and you match your answers against them, and hopefully you got them right. You're trying to get like who did it and motives and all these sorts of connections and stuff like that, and you're trying to do better than Sherlock. That's the game. It's a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's really challenging. I mean, you will rack your brain, like looking for minor details and like chasing red herrings and false leads. And playing it with a group, as a family or with a group of friends and stuff, is a lot of fun. I played it. We played it as a family one night, and it was just a lot of fun, just sitting around the table and having note takers and like going through the newspaper and be like, is that a clue? And is that a clue? And maybe we should see this person. No, I think we should see this person instead. That person's not going to tell us anything. And
Are there instances when people lie to you?
absolutely, yeah, that's a big part of the game, is trying to suss out who's telling the truth and who
Oh,
isn't
okay.
telling the truth. And A is saying something about person B. Person B is contradicting person A. Like, which one is telling the truth, and how do you figure out which one is telling the truth? Sometimes you're chasing these really obvious things, but it's something subtle that you miss, or just as often you get hung up on something small and subtle, thinking that's got to have a lot of meaning. But that's the whole game. Is just a directory of London, some newspapers, a map of London, and like these kind of choose your own adventurous books that guide you through these things. That's very free form, very open. I happen to get this on eBay for a really good price. It was only like 20 something bucks. I think even on Amazon, brand new. I believe they're like in the 30s. It's not that much.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I got the Jack the Ripper and West End Adventures. I don't think the core title has like a subtitle. It's just called Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Then there are a couple others, and I don't specifically remember the titles, but it's all this.
Right.
And you don't. Everyone is standalone, so all you need is that one box, and you have everything you need. Yeah, it's fun, and you can do it solo as well, which is great about it, because it's just
Yeah, I guess you don't really need other people. It just helps to have other people. It makes it a little more fun because you got a bunch of different ideas going around.
Yeah, the banter is fun and stuff, but yeah, you definitely don't need it. Like if you just you just want to have a lazy day of like reading through this detective stuff and trying to figure out cases and stuff, you could do that. I highly recommend it. I can't believe that I had never heard of this before, because apparently it's been around for many, many years. It's very reasonable to be able to pick up both new and old editions of this game. And from my understanding, these new editions are pretty much unchanged from older editions. They clean up some like spelling errors and typographical errors and stuff like that, but the cases are basically the same. So you're looking to bargain hunt, you can safely get an older version, and you're not getting a lesser version of the game.
Thank you for showing us that amazing board game.
It's my pleasure. And if people enjoy us talking about board games, then they should say so. And the things where people can say different things to us, you should definitely like this video and subscribe. And you can even go to patreon.com/hearingout with me and support us with meager bits of support, so that we can fuel ourselves and something or other. I don't really know what's happening, and I think we should stop.